Welcome back to Giants Latest. Hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all things Giants. Darius Slayton spoke to the media and gave some interesting little tidbits, so I wanted to talk about it. Let's start with this. He was asked about changing his number because he used to wear 86, and then this year he switched to 18. So he said that he did want to switch to a number that was under 20, but by the time he decided and started looking into switching numbers, Russell Wilson had came in and taken 3. He was looking at number 2, which Tay Banks swooped in and took before him, and then he said that the numbers 18 and 19 were available, and he ended up deciding on 18. So that was his decision on the number situation. He was asked about what it's like having Russell Wilson as his new quarterback, and he said that he has great accuracy, great touch on deep balls. He also said that he's fairly certain throughout all the practices so far that Russell has only missed on 1, maybe 2 deep balls, that his accuracy has been really fantastic. So we like to hear that. Darius Slayton is primed to have a good year. He also said that Russell throws a great spiral and that his leadership qualities are on full display all the time. He said that he helps keep them in good plays and in good situations. He is a good communicator, feels like he's been here longer than only the couple months that he's been with the Giants so far. And he tells you exactly what he wants out of you, which we've heard this from other players too. And I think it's really important that you have a quarterback who is really good at communicating and telling everyone where they need to be if there are any mix up or confusions there. So I like that. I hope that it's going to be one reason why we can lower the penalties that the Giants have this year, because that also killed their offense last year. Among other things, penalties were a big part of it. So he also said about Russell that he has a nice pace, even spiral on balls. He throws a firm ball that doesn't get you killed. Thought that was interesting. So, listen, not everything is always a dig at the previous quarterback, but I think if you want to read into these things, you can. And also, the fact that a couple wide receivers at this point have really talked about the way that Russell throws the ball, the way that he leads the wide receivers, that he's just, a really good veteran out there who has a lot of experience. So I hope that makes a difference for all of the wide receivers this year. He was asked about Jalen Hyatt. He said he thinks he put on around 15 to 20 pounds so far, and he's made good progress. He also was asked about the quarterback room, which I don't know if you guys saw this video. It's hysterical. But, Darius Slayton said this first. He said there's good presence, good leaderships. Obviously, the veterans have a lot of experience in the league, and that comes into handy as an example, like Russell telling him where he wants to be and what he expects from them. He said that Jameis Winston specifically has a unique balance of seriousness and light energy, which I think we all see when we see these funny videos of Jameis, right? But I like that Darius also said that he's serious when he needs to be. And, they're having conversations talking about a slant. And then 1 second later, they're talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken. And Darius is like, how did we go from talking about a slant to Kentucky Fried Chicken? And then 1 second later, they're right back to talking about slants again. So it does sound like, and I think this is a big thing that we've seen coming out of OTAs, that the energy is different. And even though the guys are having fun, which, at this point in the season, they should be having fun, they also are focused on getting to know each other, improving and learning. During OTAs, it's a big focus on learning time. So the last thing that he said also about Winston was that he keeps people calm, which I thought was really interesting. So I think between him and Russ, they do a really good job of balancing each other out. I get the vibe that Russell is very serious, and I'm sure he can joke around and have fun, but you don't see Russell Wilson saying like silly things to the camera and hearing stories about him talking about fried chicken. So I think having someone like Jameis does kind of balance out that seriousness level. And, Darius said that OTAs are a time where you're really learning a lot and there's a lot of energy and it's just been a lot of fun. And he said, especially between the quarterback and the wide receiver room, there is a lot of energy there. The last thing that he said was he was asked about the fact that the Giants brought back 91% of the roster. And especially when you look at the wide receiver room, it's essentially all the same players. So why should we as fans or media have hope that the wide receivers are going to be so much better when, they struggled a bit last year, honestly. And he said that he's confident in the direction of the team, that they all have one goal, and that goal is to win. And that's part of the reason why he came back, is that he feels like there's good direction and he is confident in where this team is headed and the players that are around him, that everyone has bought in, the wide receivers are focused, and, we'll see. We'll see when the season starts. My thing for the wide receivers is I think that having a quarterback that has a lot of experience, throws a nice deep ball, also can throw a good ball on the short plays, which I know there's concern that Russell is not great through the midfield, but when you hear from Wandale that he throws a great ball through the midfield, I think, time will tell how that actually works out. Hopefully it works out well, but I'm excited to see it. He also was asked about Jackson Dart and said that he's a smart kid, can definitely spin the football, and he said that he thinks that he's going to be a good football player. So obviously the players aren't going to say anything bad. I know that, but I just think it's interesting when they make certain points and specific things that they say, when they focus as a wide receiver on the spin of the ball, the throws that they make, the accuracy, the pace. Those are things that we didn't hear from the wide receivers when we had other quarterbacks over the last couple years. So I just like to point that out because I think, like Darius said, I think there is a different energy, and I think especially for the wide receivers that's a big part of it. So let's move along here and talk about Tyrone Tracy, because he was another player that also spoke to the media. So he also said that the energy is different this year, that he just feels a different sense of energy and vibe. He said he likes that a lot of the players are vocal, that's something that's different this year. Between all of the veterans that they added, I think that's been really big, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, they brought in Abdul Carter, but you've got Burns, who's in his second year, who's healthy. I think he's going to be a very vocal leader. We heard him call out, but not specifically players last year. He did call out the fact that he noticed things in the locker room that he was not okay with. So I expect him to take it up a notch this year and be a really vocal leader. You've got Adebo and Holland, who are both being vocal so far, having veterans in the secondary. Singletary in the running back room is vocal. You've got of course, Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, who are probably the most vocal of them all. So from an offensive perspective, I think that says a lot. We really didn't see that with Daniel. He was more of the quiet leader type, which that's exactly who Eli was. And not every quarterback has to be that to be a good quarterback. But I do think that when the team is very young and lacking that type of experience, that having guys who are vocal in the locker room and on the field will make a difference in the long term. Like, we hear about Russ telling people what to do in a kind sense, but I think that's really going to help people, the leadership aspect. So he said he's ready to go, feels like they have a good team in place. He was asked about Cam Scatterbo and said that he thinks that they're going to complement each other really well, their different types of playing styles. He was asked about improving ball security. Is he doing anything different this year? Is there anything that he's really focused on? And he said, that's one thing that he really wants to improve upon. He said he feels like he was inconsistent last year. And as a football player, you need to be consistent and reliable to the 10 other guys that are on the field with you. So one thing that he's doing, he bought one of those hand grip machine things from Amazon, and he says that he uses it every single night, and that's one of the things that he's focused on. He said he carries a football with him all over. Guys try to swat it out when he's walking through the hallways and things. So though that's what he's doing to focus on ball security. So again, it's all hunky-dory. It's wonderful to hear these things, but let's hope that they actually turn into wins and less mistakes on the field. He also said that he loves the history of the Giants, that he really wants to be one of the best running backs that the Giants have had throughout their history, and that he has focused on that. He was asked about, what it's like with Russell and his experience with, getting the team together and going out to dinner and things like that. He said that dinner was great. He said Russell paid for all of it, although he kind of tried to get the young guys to pay for it. And he said, hell no, which I thought was funny. He also said that he had octopus for the first time. He had calamari, but he did not have any raw seafood. He was not on board with the oysters or the clams. And he said, these types of new experience are just things that are different with him. And I think it's a good way for these players to bond, whether they do something off the field together or they just go to dinner and try new food. So I liked that story. He said that Russell is a phenomenal leader. He speaks to everyone the same, whether he is Tyrone Tracy, who's been there for year two, or the fact that, there are UDFAs and guys who have brought in this summer who might not make the roster, that he's very communicative, he knows everyone's name, he's very involved with every player, tries to get them in the rotation. And it says a lot. And look, I just think that with certain players, the right fit and the right team is everything. I've said this for years about Daniel Jones. I don't think he ever would have been an elite quarterback who led our team to Super Bowls for many years, but I do think that if he got put in a better situation with a team that had better coaching and a better offensive line and maybe some more weapons, maybe he would have had a really different career. Like I said, probably wouldn't be a Super Bowl winner, but maybe he would have had different stats. Maybe he would have had less injuries because he didn't get sacked 700 times, you know? I just think that situation is key for a lot of players. And I think that Russell coming here, he's getting this new lease on life. He's getting a new opportunity. He's got good talent around him, a coach that he really believes in, and he's in a place that he always wanted to play and he always wanted to be at. And I think that can really help anyone, whether it's a new job, a new house, whatever it is, a new city. It gives you a different sense of motivation, you know? And I think for Russell, someone at this point in his career who's older, he could have just said, I'm going to retire. I have a Super Bowl win. I'm a 10-time Pro Bowler. You know, I'm going to probably go to Canton. Like, I don't have to keep playing. But I think it says a lot that he really had a good relationship with everyone in New York. He was willing to come here, and hopefully that will make a difference. So I'm optimistic on Russ, and I'd like to hear all these good things about him. He also said that Russell knew that Tyrone Tracy was a wide receiver in college, but he didn't know the extent of it. So he thought that he only played wide receiver for 1 year. He didn't know that throughout his entire college career that Tyrone Tracy played wide receiver. So when Russ found that out and he saw him, you know, catching the ball and making some nice plays in the backfield, whatever it was, he said, we got to take advantage of this. We have to use your hands as a tool here. Use it as a weapon. Let's take advantage of that. So will we see a lot of Tyrone Tracy catching the ball this year? I hope so. It'd be nice to see him as a pass catcher, especially because he does have pretty good hands. So we'll see how that works out. Lastly, he said that, you know, it's great to have a quarterback that is a dual threat, that can run and can throw the ball accurately. So like I said, you know, there's really a lot of optimism and a good vibe coming out of these OTAs. I hope that it continues throughout the summer and into the season. And I really hope that, you know, the optimism and the good energy that they have translates to wins at the end of the day. That's all that matters. But I do think that having a close team that has each other's backs, that cares about learning and getting to know each other and growing and spending time together off the field, I do think all of those things are going to help in the long run. So like I said, let's hope it translates to wins. So stay tuned for more Giants news. Hit the subscribe button for more.